In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your exhaust gas temperature sensor. This is the one for the crossover tube, which actually sits right here behind the engine. It's tucked all the way in the back there, so let's get started. Now you'll notice the wheel is off here. That is only for camera purposes. You can definitely do this with the wheel on. When you jack it up, or even without it jacked up, you will have definitely enough room to pull this fender liner out. But like I said, I only did this so that you can see what's happening with my arms in here. Having said that, let's take the fender liner off. You have some 5.5mm screws that go along. I have this fender flare here, but even if you don't have it, you will still have the 4 5.5mm screws that you have to remove to unbolt the fender liner from the fender itself. Take this off. Now I have a 10mm bolt over here. And at the very top, an 8mm. At the very front here, you'll have 2 more 8mm bolts. And at the back, a push clip that has a Phillips head cutout. A lot of times these don't work anymore, and you'll have to just pry them out forcefully. So it looks like mine still works. Okay, there it is. Now you can grab the fender liner, move it inward, and pull it straight out. There it is. And now with the fender liner off, if you look on the back side of the engine where the exhaust pipe meets the exhaust manifold, that right there is your exhaust gas temperature sensor. This right here is one of several exhaust gas temperature sensors, and this is the one that we're after. And this particular one is called the EGR crossover tube exhaust gas temperature sensor. So I'm going to start by spraying it with some rust penetrant. And with that being the sensor, if you follow it straight up, you'll see the electrical connector. That's just being held on with a bracket here. And I want to disconnect this first. I'm going to try and pop this connector off of the bracket so I can bring it a little bit lower so I can actually reach it with my hands. All right, well, the electrical connector popped off of the retainer. We'll fix that later. For now, let's just get to it. You'll see it has a red tab. That's basically just a locking tab so that it can't disconnect without pulling that back. So I'm going to use my thumb and press that red tab, slide it backwards. It might be a little stuck because of sand and debris. I'm going to try using a screwdriver. Okay, I got it. That's what it needs to look like once it's unlocked. Now you can just press right here and then pull down on the connector and it should separate. There we go. Now I'm going to take a 14mm line wrench or flare nut wrench, however you want to call it. The reason I'm using this and not an open-ended style is because this grips on a lot better. It has one extra side that it grips onto, so I strongly suggest using this. And at this point, we just have to break this free. Now I know it's difficult to see, and well, hopefully I can break it free. We might have to put some heat into this. I'm using a small flame. I just want to heat up the fitting. Don't heat up the actual sensor. You want to expand the metal around where the threads go in. That's what's going to help break it free. If you don't have a torch, I don't really recommend running the truck because then the whole pipe will be hot, the engine, everything, and well, you'll probably end up burning your arm. But if you do have a torch, definitely comes in handy. Let's see if this helped us out. Give it another shot of penetrant, even though it's going to smoke, but it will actually pull it in a little bit. All right, I put my induction heater on here. I'm just going to quickly heat the fitting up. It's getting nice and red now. 14mm wrench. And let's see what we can do. Okay. Well, there we go. That just broke it free. And now it's getting stuck again, so we might have to reheat. Okay, there it is. Oops, watch out, it's pretty hot. At this point, I'm gonna give this thing a few minutes to cool down. Grab your new sensor, slide it in to the exhaust, and thread it on all the way, make it nice and snug. I've driven this in quite a bit, but you can see the sensor inside the fitting is still moving. So of course, we're gonna keep going until this stops spinning completely and the sensor stops moving. Okay, notice that this stopped moving. That's it, that's tight right there. Let's reconnect it. Now let's reconnect the harness. So make sure that it's positioned underneath all of these lines here. You don't want it over them because it actually needs to go back up by the back of the engine. Okay, I got them to slide into each other, and now just press them together till they click. There we go. All right, make sure you lock the connector down just like that. My mounting clip broke, as you can see. If you had the same issue happen, you can always wire tie it in place. Grab your fender liner, slide it in position, tuck it up behind the fender, or over the fender, I should say. Okay, put this bolt at the back in first so I can lock it in place. And the one at the top. And the two at the front. I had my little push clip here. Slide that back in and lock it. Now if you had a fender flare, go ahead and slide it on, line it up. If not, just put on the mounting screws as is through the fender. Tighten it all up. Perfect.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.